Hello again. Welcome to another exciting and thrilling episode of the 8 fundamental pillars of business marketing with my good friend here, Dave SHILLITO, coach,
Hello.
mentor, and entrepreneur. Today, Dave is going to talk about pillar number 6. So over to you, Dave, about pillar number 6.
Thank you. Yes. Hello, everybody, and thanks for staying with us again for the next pillar, number 6, which is about advertising. Advertising. Now, this I'm not going to harp on about advertising on the Book of Faces on Facebook. It's a great and very legitimate place to advertise for certain types of businesses, which we'll cover later on. But the amount of information out there about how to advertise on Facebook is legion. There is so much of it. So that is not specifically what this is going to be about. This is going to be more like the 30,000 foot view, so that people watching can get a grip, an understanding of the different types of advertising and why you really should advertise. Now, there is a very famous quote. Well, it's famous to people like me, which says, and I'm reading this from the screen here, it says, "He who has a thing to sell and goes and whispers in a well is not so apt to get the dollar as he who climbs a tree and hollers," which I think is a great little quote. And the obvious point of that quote is that no matter how good you are, your business, your service, your product, whatever it is that you're offering, if nobody knows that you exist, you're kind of scuppered, right? So I'm sure in all our lifetimes, we've all experienced people who are famous for being famous. And you're like, okay, where's the talent? Well, the talent is in self-publicity. So my first question is, if you have let's say somebody who's a great therapist, they're a great mind mender, somebody who's a wonderful therapist and they understand human beings end to end, soup to nuts, bumper to bumper. They know how we as humans work. But they're no good at marketing. World-class therapist and counselor, no good at marketing. How many people will they help? The other side of the coin, would somebody who's just mediocre at counseling and therapy, but they're just brilliant at marketing, will help far more people than folks who are world-class at what they do, but they're just rubbish at marketing. And so if you can marry these two, if you can get good at marketing whilst getting better at what it is that you do, if your aim is to help as many people as possible, in whatever trade or industry you may be in, is academic. We are paid to solve problems. Some people don't even know they've got the problem that you can solve, or they can't even articulate it, which is all about marketing. But this time round, we're going to be talking about advertising, and I'd like to talk about writing a better ad, constructing a better ad, what should and shouldn't be in elements of a better ad. So 30,000 foot view, here we are. First of all, you must have something to say. That's about selling difference, not selling sameness. We've talked about that before.
Yes, we have.
Number 2, you must be able to say it well, which is what this training's about. And number 3, you must be willing to say it often. If you have something to say, you've got to be able to say it well, and you've got to be able to say it often. So this idea about saying it often, we've covered in a previous training. It's not about repeating your ad 7 times so people feel good about doing business with your company. No, the reason you need to say it often, actually, I'll come back to the reason you need to say it often, a far more legitimate reason why ads need repeating, much more legitimate than the 7-touch malarkey that may or may not be true. Personally, I don't believe it, but that's a different argument for a different topic. So when you're constructing an ad, you have to have something to say. This is about selling difference, not selling sameness. You must be able to say it well, keep watching, and you must be willing to say it often. So the first of these is you must have something to say. You cannot advertise your mere existence.
Mm.
People who sell advertising don't always understand this. Certainly people who used to sell advertising space for magazines and newspapers didn't understand this. So the stronger your unique selling proposition, which is another pillar that we've already done, the easier your advertising will be, right? The stronger your USP, the better your marketing is going to be, and therefore the easier your advertising is going to be. You'll get more people wanting what you do or have on site. Now, I don't know if you remember the Dan Kennedy question from the pillar called unique selling proposition. The Dan Kennedy question was, why? Why should a customer choose to do business with you as opposed to any and all other options? Right? Next, you must be able to say it well, which is what this presentation is about. And you must be able to prepare to say often, right? So, yeah, I'll talk about this. The real reason that your ads need repeating is this. Every market is a moving feast. Whatever it is you've bought recently, or you're now in the market for, or you were in the market for, there was a time where you weren't in the market. When you've just got a brand new mobile phone, you're excited. And the day after, you're not in the market for another mobile phone. All markets are a moving feast. If you're doing tyre repairs, you're not in the market for a new tyre until you walk out and you find your car's got a flat. Now, all of a sudden, you're in the market. The point I'm making is that all markets are a moving feast. People come into the market every minute of every day. They weren't a customer before. Now they are. And when they are satisfied, they stop being in the market for a while. So the reason why advertising needs repeating regularly is because your advert could well have fallen. Your previous adverts could well have fallen on deaf ears because the people who were consuming the ad, spotting the ad, seeing the ad were simply not in the market, and now they are, right? So you will have experienced this yourself before. All of a sudden you come into the market for something or other and you're like, oh, I'm sure I saw an ad for that. Who was that? What was that company? Who was that bloke? And you go scrabbling for the ad. If that person's ad was only done once, you're not going to find it, or you're much less likely to find it. So that's the reason why advertising needs repeating regularly, in my humble but accurate opinion, is because all markets are a moving feast. You got that?
Yeah, all markets are a moving feast.
Good stuff. All right. Now, your ads really should give your prospects as many reasons as possible to inquire further, as many reasons as possible, because you cannot second guess what their trigger will be. For some people, it may be price. For some people, it may be speed of delivery. For other people, whatever. But you can't second guess what their trigger reason will be. And therefore, in an ideal world, your ads should hit as many of those points as possible and give your prospects as many reasons as possible to inquire further. Now, we are moving in a fast-moving world. This is the crazy world of the tinterwebs. Right? I spend all day working on the internet, and it is a really fast-moving environment. Everybody on there is really, really nimble. This brings benefits and it brings challenges. In the old days, if you one of the most difficult adverts to write was what's called selling off the page. In other words, the entire advert, no matter how big it may be, had to do all the work. It had to call out the audience with the headline. It had to convince the person, the reader, that this is what they wanted. And it had to have a call to action, a way to respond at the bottom of the advert. You know, send your check or postal order to this address. So the whole advert on first contact had to do all the heavy lifting. These days, because attention span is through the floor, more often than not, the purpose of an ad is not to sell your thing. Right? The purpose of your ad is not to sell your thing, not to sell your product, not to sell your service. That is not the purpose of the ad. The purpose of the ad is to sell the idea of finding out more, right? Sell the idea of finding out more about your thing. So let's talk for a moment about Facebook ads. The Facebook ads have more nuance, but in general, actually, I don't want to talk about Facebook ads. Well, I can't avoid talking about Facebook ads, so I will obviously cover them at some stage to some degree. So the exception is Facebook ads because they do have a bit more nuance, but the general 30,000 foot view of what an advert should include, if possible, is number one, it should call out the target audience. Who is this for? It should create curiosity. It should offer social proof.
Okay.
And there should be a call to action, right? Those four things. So let's go over them. The number one is it should call out the audience. Make sure your ideal targets know immediately that what you have is for them. And also repel the others, okay? In the old days, newspaper advertising was a function of inclusion. You wanted as many people as possible to see the ad. Nowadays, on the internet, it's a function of exclusion because you're going to be paying per click, unless it's organic. You're going to be paying per click. So you don't really want people clicking the ad if they're not preconditioned, if they're not pre-qualified. So this is why you need to call out the audience in the ad immediately, at front and center. So traditionally, people would have their name at the top of the ad. This is a huge mistake, very expensive waste of money using your name, unless your name is the company name and the company name explains exactly what it is that you do, right? So there are exceptions to the rule, to all rules, but they prove the rules by being exceptions, do they not? So if your business name is Fair Price Fencing, okay, you can use that as a headline, right? But J. Butler and Sons, no, nobody gives a damn what your name is. They don't care how long you've been in business. They don't care that your family have got involved. They don't care. What you need front and center is something that calls out the audience. So one of my favorite ads starts out with corns gone. Now, the only people who are going to read that are people who've got corns, right?
Oh.
Brilliant. It's
Sorry,
a great
Dave,
advert for other reasons, but that's...
I've got someone buzzing on
buzzing what?
my entry phone. Mind pausing for a minute?
Yeah, okay. Okay. Back in the room. Excellent.
Back in the room.
So where were we? Okay, so I was talking about calling out the audience. So that's important. The most valuable real estate of any web page and indeed of any advert is what hits you front and center, what's called above the fold. It's an old newspaper term. There's still 17% of internet users don't know you can scroll a web page. That is amazing, but it still holds true. So the most valuable real estate is what you see when you first land on a web page. Very, very valuable. So it shouldn't be wasted. I'll cover that in a very short space of time. But suffice it to say for now that one of the most important things that your ad, especially in today's digital age, can do is call out the audience. So if the ad isn't calling you out, the ad's not for you. This is about being a function of exclusion because you don't want to be paying for the click from people who are not pre-qualified and pre-motivated. Next, create curiosity. These are all if possibles, right? You can't get all of these things into an ad. But if possible, you want to also create curiosity. And you can use that in the headline or subject line of an email by including numbers or strange characters or questions. Always a good idea to ask a quirky question. That's always a good idea.
Quirky question.
Yeah. Do you want an example?
Yes, please.
Are you playing fair by your wife? That might sound like a wacky, crazy question, but who's not going to read the next line?
Yeah,
Bang. Job done. So ask a quirky question. Next, offer some social proof. This is testimonials, guarantees, client logos. Now, this is such an important thing. The social proof thing is so important. It gets its own pillar. So I think that may well be one of the 2 pillars we've yet to cover. Social proof, testimonials, guarantees is really important. The wisdom of crowds. It's something that humans are subject to. We have been since the last 200,000 years. But we'll deep dive that more in the module about social proof. Suffice it to say that if possible, what should be shoehorned into your ad should be elements of social proof, testimonials, guarantees, client logos, etc. Even if it's just best service ever, Miss J, Mrs. J, anything that, even that is better than nothing. And finally, a call to action. The call to action. We need to tell people what to do next and how to do it. This is direct marketing, right? This isn't brand awareness. This isn't brand awareness advertising. This is direct response advertising. You want a response, and therefore you need to tell people what to do next. This isn't about being thick. I can assure you, city gents of consequence, just the same as blokes who dig the street up, like ABC, 1, 2, 3. This is what you do next. People want to avoid mistakes. And people of all intelligence level want to avoid mistakes. So tell them what to do next. This is why buy now buttons or click here buttons, they actually still say that. You know, it still says buy now or click here. Still reigns supreme out there on the internet. So let me talk to you now about 2 different types of ads. 2 different types of ads. The first type I like to call a lifeboat ads.
Lifeboat ads. Okay.
Yeah, this is where you row your message out to the person and stick it in the face. Now, why would you need to do that? Well, you need to use lifeboat advertising when people don't know that your thing exists. They don't know that what you've got even exists until you row it out and stick it in front of them, right? You basically interrupt their day and stick it under their nose. You go to them direct, hence the name direct marketing, right? So here are examples of lifeboat ads. Actually, I'll talk about a few benefits of lifeboat ads. Number 1, offers are made in a vacuum. There's no white noise of competition. This is a big problem online. So if you can make your offers in a vacuum, not surrounded by your competition, this is a big advantage, right? So there's no white noise of competition. Okay, a letter or a postcard drops through your letterbox. You've got that person's full attention for those nanoseconds. Whether they take action, that's a message to market match issue, not what we're talking about today. Number 2, you can use precise pre-targeting, right? People's interests, previous actions. You can build a list of people who've done these things, shown an interest in these things, bought these things, and only advertise to them. So that's a good thing. A measurable response. A measurable response, which means you can calculate your return on advertising spend. Unlike the big corporate brand awareness ads, you know, like Coca-Cola or Renault cars will do. Remember in a previous pillar we talked about it costs 55 grand to show one ad once.
Yes.
In the middle of Coronation Street. And if the only people who really got those deep pockets are companies like cars and, you know, capital things. But who knows, at risk of repeating, who knows how many more Renault cars were sold because of that one specific ad? Nobody can say. It's impossible to say. So the big Madison Avenue ad agencies that like taking money off big dumb corporations for brand awareness, the one thing they absolutely hate is being held accountable. They don't like that at all. They just want a free rein to be creative. But this isn't that, and we are not them. So this has to be have a measurable response, so you can calculate your return on advertising spend. Using direct mail as an example, this is how much it costs to get the mailing out the door. This is how many orders came in. There. Same with pay-per-click. You can figure out your metrics. Measurable response.
Measurable response.
Yeah. Now, lifeboat ads can be expensive up front. There is a degree of speculative risk. And also, other than Facebook, it can take a little while to roll out lifeboat ads and get that response, because using direct mail, for example, there is a lag time getting the mail out there, getting people to respond, and so on and so forth. But those are the advantages and disadvantages of lifeboat ads. Now, as different from what I call lighthouse ads. So remember, lifeboat, you're taking your message and you're rowing it out to people who don't know that your thing exists, interrupting their day and basically going, look at this. Now, the opposite to that is what I call lighthouse ads, where you stand still, waving your thing over your head. Now, this type of advertising is for people who know what they want. They know that they need your product or service before they know about you. Right? You got that? They can articulate their need before they even go looking. And they have to go looking to find you. Right? So these people are actively searching. So you want your lighthouse ads to be found when they see the results of a keyword-driven search. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is search engines, basically. So lighthouse ads, all to do with search engines. I'm not saying specifically, but so people can get their head around the difference. This would be most appropriate to search engine advertising, even buying adverts on Google and so on and so forth. So people are hunting, they're already looking. So advantages and disadvantages to lighthouse ads: standing still, waving your thing above your head, so you can be found by people who are already searching, who before they start searching can already articulate the problem that they're trying to solve, or the need or want that they're trying to satiate. So, number one, you only pay on action. This is good, right? So unlike a newspaper ad or a direct mail shot where you spend all the money and then you've just got to kind of hope and wait there's some response, with this, you only pay on action. So when somebody actually clicks the ad, only then does it cost you something. Number two, you can have ads up and running within 10 minutes. Number three, scalable, right? You pay more to get more, which is a good thing. Downsides, you are always going to be in amongst your competition. So somebody springs a leak and they happen to be in Wisconsin. So they search the Google machine for plumbers, Wisconsin, and the results page might have 30 plumbers in Wisconsin. Right? So if you're being found by search, keyword-driven search, you have no choice but to be surrounded by your competition. This is when the need for a USP kicks in. You can't advertise more than just your existence. You have to be able to answer the Dan Kennedy question. When people come across you as a result of keyword search, the answer they want answering on the hurry up is why? Why? Tell me, in a nanosecond, why should I do business with you instead of anybody else? Why? No, gone. That's how quick it is. Another downside is that humans with frailties, bristling with their own prejudices and lack of knowledge about your industry, humans have to approve your ads. So this is, Google ads, this is Facebook ads. Somebody somewhere has to make the decision that your ad can run. And they may not know about your industry. They may not know about your customers. They may not know all those nuances. So your ad running is at the discretion of an other human being. That's a bit of a downside. Whereas you don't need anybody's permission to send a letter, do you?
No.
Also, you can spend a lot of money quickly. Now, I didn't say waste. I said spend. This has nothing to do with return on investment, but you can lose your shirt, or rather you can, yeah, lose is a negative word. You can spend a lot of money quickly. Let's just put it that way, right? So those are the two different types of ads. I know there are other types. I get that, but I want it anchored in your viewers and listeners' minds that the two main types of advertising are lifeboat ads, where you roll your message out, and you have to do that because the person you're going to be showing the ad to doesn't know your thing, your product or service, or you exists until you roll it out and stick it in front of them and say, hey, look at this. Sorry to interrupt your day. Look at this. You have no choice but to do lifeboat ads if you're bringing something to market that people don't even know that they want. And then there are lighthouse ads where you basically have no choice but to stand on a rock, waving your thing above your head to be found, hopefully, to be seen as a result of search. People will be searching before they come across you, and therefore they can articulate the problem they have or the need, want, desire they have before they even start searching, driven by keywords.
Okay.
Is that clear enough so far?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very well explained.
Thank you. All right. So let's talk about headlines. The headline is the most valuable real estate of the entire ad. The headline. It is literally an ad for the ad. So people skim read newspapers, and what they're doing is reading headlines. And if they're interested in what the headline calls out, then they'll read the copy beneath. If they're not interested, they'll never read the copy beneath. And it's the same on a web page. The headline is the most valuable real estate of the entire page or the entire ad. Right? Now, to waste that uber valuable space on something that nobody really gives a damn about is an expensive tragedy. You agree?
Yes.
It is. And this is the reason, to revisit what I was saying earlier, this is the reason that no one but you cares what your business is called. Right? They don't care. Got a graphics company, don't care. Unless your USP is baked into the name of the graphics company, don't care. Not interested. They don't care. You should not waste that uber valuable space, the headline space, above the fold on a web page or in an ad with your company name. Nobody cares. Unless, as I said previously, with the exception, is that if your value statement, what you do and how you do it, basically your unique selling proposition, is right there in the name of the business. And my favorite example is Fair Price Fencing. Right? If you've named your company Fair Price Fencing, not only do people on site, right there in the headline above the fold, know exactly what it is you do, fencing, but they also know how you've positioned yourself in the marketplace, working men's prices. So these are the exceptions. But the rule is nobody cares what your company is called. Nobody cares how long you've been in business. Established since 1918. So what? What problem of mine does that solve? Fine, put it down somewhere lower down in the ad as some kind of social proof. If you feel it's social proof, then fair enough. But not in the headline. And don't have anything that involves your family. You know, B. Blackburn and Sons. Nobody cares that you've got your kids involved. So here are a few basic evergreen ads, evergreen rules for writing an ad. Are we ready for that? Let me have a little drink here.
Yeah.
All right. So, headline or header space, basically the most valuable real estate on a web page or an ad that can be seen before you scroll, above the fold. Not your name, generally, unless you're a character, unless you're famous, it doesn't want to be your name. Unless your fame is your USP. I mean, if you're Lady Gaga or Tony Robbins, then okay. Number 2, not your company name, right? Nobody cares. Number 3, it should call out your audience, right? So if you're a keen fisherman and you see an ad that says, attention anglers, you're going to read the next line, aren't you? And if you're not an angler, you'll just shine it on. But it can be just that simple. Your headline really, really should call out your target audience and repel the others. So attention anglers or attention golfers would be a great headline if you were selling into that vertical, right? Next, a big benefit of some sort. A big benefit. If possible, that should be shoehorned into the headline. And also some curiosity of some sort. Curiosity or news or some self-interest element of some sort. That's or, curiosity or news or self-interest. Right, so I know that's a lot of heavy lifting for the headline to do, but still, these are ideals. This is what the headline should be if you possibly can. I've got to talk about my favourite ad. Some people ask me, do you have a favourite advert that does everything? And I say, yeah, it was written a long, long time ago. And the ad goes like this: corn's gone in 4 days or your money back. Isn't that beautiful?
Mm.
Corn's gone in 4 days or your money back.
Money back.
Look how much heavy lifting has been done. It's called out the audience. It's made a big promise, gone. It's given a time scale. It's a big benefit in 4 days. And added the social proof of a guarantee or your money back. It's brilliant. Okay, now I'm not saying everybody can craft something that elegant, but that's what we should be. That's what we should be aiming towards. Social proof. Right, we're coming to the end of this monologue now. So, social proof. If possible, we should shoehorn in some social proof. This is guarantees, a guarantee of some sort, even if it's just the word guaranteed. Client logos. Client names is great. Client logos has more visual impact because we are visual creatures primarily. Okay, we were drawing pictures on cave walls before we were able to speak, before language came along. People were passing information visually before they cultivated language skills, and that's still within us. Picture paints 1,000 words. Still true. Nowadays, a moving picture, video, and also testimonials. So social proof, guarantees, client logos, testimonials, right? If other people have taken the risk and been satisfied, it mitigates the risk for the potential consumer. You agree?
I agree, yes.
Right. This is why if somebody's wanting somebody to do something, like wanting them to join their newsletter. Let's say you run an investment company and you want to put out some free information, and you publish an investment tips newsletter, right? You could have this lead generation device above the fold, which is a good thing, that says, subscribe to our investment newsletter, insert your name and email address here. Or it could say, subscribe to our investment newsletter, 15,000 people can't be wrong, insert your name and email address here. See, just the insertion of that extra social proof, people are like, okay, well, you know, an awful lot of people around the world subscribe to this. It must be good. Social proof. And we should always, if possible, include an offer. Include an offer of some sort. An offer. Now, this is so important, it's got its own pillar. So I suspect the remaining two pillars will be social proof and making offers. But I'll just mention making an offer. Actually, no, I won't deep dive it. We'll save that for the next pillar. Okay. One should only really use images that support the offer. Don't fill your ad with images that don't support the offer. And always include a caption beneath the image. If you're going to include a photograph or a graphic, then you should always include a caption of some sort immediately beneath the image. Why? Because after the headline, that is the most read element. Got that?
Got that.
Anything that's written underneath a picture is the second most read element in an ad or a web page after the headline. So, next is zero wasted space. You don't be wasting any space. Now, this isn't about making things easy to read. There is a great copywriting law, LORE, about what best use of white space, right? Nothing will turn somebody off quicker than tiny font, continuous paragraph. You've seen this, posts on Facebook and what have you. It may be valuable information, but there's no breaks. You look at it and go, oh, TLDR, too long, didn't read. Can't be bothered reading all that. Making it hard work for you to read. So there is a copywriting thing which is about breaking it up, making sure there's white space. But that isn't what this is about. This is about writing ads in particular. And so this isn't about white space, which is valuable. This is about wasted space. Wasted space. Right. So coming full circle, some 30,000 foot view recommendations for advertisements on or offline. There are exceptions, but the exceptions prove the rule as usual. So no reverse type. I know you think it's stylish to put white letters on a black background. Don't do it. Lots of reasons. You can't predict the device that people will be looking at. You can't second guess how it's going to render. It's not what humans are used to. There's a reason why newspapers are white with black letters. Duh. Next, no fancy fonts. Just because you have the fonts on your computer, or it might be, you know, the idea of it being fancy might seem like a great idea. But again, you cannot second guess the type of device or the age of device on which your customers, your prospects will be consuming your ad. Right? I still use quite an old phone day to day, a Samsung Galaxy S6, and there are many modern fonts just don't render. Now, the reason I use that is so I can help out my fellow entrepreneurs. Was when I spot that they've put an ad in there, or one of my students is running ads, and they've put a font that doesn't render on my phone, I'll screen capture the ad and send it to them and say, this is how your ad looks on my phone. And usually it's either something that they've done bold, or it's a fancy font that they've used, or whatever, but it didn't render. Also, no tiny fonts, unless it's a caption under a picture, when the size of the picture dictates to some degree the size of the font. But generally, we don't want any tiny fonts. If you make it hard work for people to read, they're just going to scroll on or what have you. Not everybody has the eyesight of an 18-year-old, so you don't make people do this. That's the death knell. It really is. And finally, I think, full contact details. Full contact. You will be shocked at how often this is missing. Full contact details. You may have done everything else right, and then you're not telling people how to get in touch with you. Now, back in the days of direct mail, this was fatal. There's many a time people have sent out letters and what have you, and then they've gone, oh, there is no device, there's no reply envelope, or there's no there's no phone number or there's no address. Even if this is super targeted and it's a great ad and it's a great mailing piece, and I've sent it out without a way to get in touch with us. Also, if you've sprung for a domain name, you should be aware that you also get the email addresses that go with that domain name. So make sure the email address matches the domain name. Now, your viewers might be looking at the screen now and going, duh, but how many times have you been behind an artisan's van, you know, somebody who does central heating or is a UPVC windows or whatever it may be, but they're a 1 or 2 man or woman army and they've got a van and they will have got the domain name, I'm going to use it, fairpricefencing.co.uk, and then the email address is john.lisa363@yahoo.co.uk, and you're like, oh, do you not know that with fairpricefencing.com or .co.uk you get the email address that goes with that domain? So that flags you as being not savvy, not just not web savvy, but not savvy. And include a call to action. People like to know what it is they're expected to do next. I don't know if I've covered that, but it's worth mentioning again there. Include a call to action. Click here, still reigns supreme. Buy now, still reigns supreme. Do not leave people guessing what it is that they've got to do. So I don't know how long I've been yakking for there, but I think I've covered most of the factors of creating and writing ads. An ad that can be used as a control. I mean, one of the beauties about Facebook is you can test. You can do A/B tests, split tests. You can test the 3x3x3 matrix, 27 different variations, 3 different images, 3 different headlines, 3 different blocks of copy. All of these things which you'll learn about if you deep dive into Facebook ads. That's all great. But there needs to be a consistent call to action. People want to be told what to do next. They don't want to be having to guess what it is that you want them to do next. Actually tell them what you want them to do next. That's always a good idea. So that's it from me. I don't really have much else to say on the topic of advertising. So that's how to construct an ad. Some of these rules don't hold fast. Not all of the rules are going to apply in all situations. But if you want to create a very useful control ad against which to test other ads to see if you can beat the control, which is all testing is at the end of the day, you create an ad that pulls and then create another ad that's slightly different and run them both together and see which one wins. If this one wins, you dump that one. This then becomes the control. You got that?
Yeah.
Then you change one variant of the ad, maybe an image or the headline or the call to action or the offer or some of them, but you only change one variant at a time and run another ad to see if that can beat the current control. And if it doesn't, come up with another variant until the variant beats the control, and then that becomes the control. But if you change more than one element at a time, you've no idea which change won. Was it the change in image? Was it the change in headline? I don't know. Why? Because you change more than one thing at once. Duh. So that's just a bit of an extra tip from Business Model Mastery.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, Dave, for sharing us the pillar number 6, advertising, and about headlines and lighthouse and light boat marketing.
Yeah.
I found that very interesting. I hope our viewers did. Until next time, we've got 2 more pillars to get through. So yes. We've got
another
pillar number
pillars,
7.
Another 2 pillars in this series to go. So I hope everybody's getting some value out of this.
Definitely, I know I am. Like I said, we've got another 2 pillars. Until next time, Dave, thanks again for taking the time today to share with us your ideas on business and marketing itself.
Yep, you're
Until
welcome.
Next time, I'll see you again soon.
Okay, yep, see you for the next pillar. See you later, folks. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.